Hey everyone, and welcome to the Wonder Twins Business Hour for July 22nd. I'm Ryan Gilliam, and with me is Jake the Alright.
Hello?
We're going to do something a little bit different with the show this week, which is completely out of pocket thing to say for a show that has had one episode so far. But we are going to try to do two shorter episodes this week instead of one super long one. I appreciate for the people who made it all the way through that first one. But yes, we're going to try a slightly different format here while still yapping about what's going on in the industry. Today, we are specifically focusing on the great Bethesda party announcement that happened last Friday on July 17th, where Bethesda put out a blog, and more importantly, and by blog, I mean like a very large tweet announcing a bunch of new games, some of which were rumored, some of which were just thought likely, some of which they announced, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, to kind of give like a major update on what's going on there post the Xbox layoffs.
Yes. Is this us running down the street? The Elder Scrolls is coming. The Elder Scrolls is coming. It's
I
finally
think they
happening.
did that a long time ago, and then like they shot Paul Revere dead because it has been like 6 years since we've heard about it since.
It will get here eventually though. Soon he will be proven right.
Yeah, a stop clock and all that. Like eventually, all of these things will come to fruition, or the heat death of the universe will occur, and who's to say which will happen first?
So for the details, in terms of the Bethesda party we're talking about on Friday, they put out a blog post announcing a bunch of things like Ryan was saying. Starfield's going to continue, creation stuff, gameplay additions, general new content, but no newly announced paid expansion. Also, Fallout 5 is a long-range destination, which I guess of course it is. Fallout 76 is getting an expansion in 2027 called Raven Rock, a prequel to Fallout 3. Assuming that's probably going to be tied to the Fallout 3 remake, which was also announced. Fallout 4 has sold 35 million copies and had a tumultuous 10-year anniversary, I think, release recently, maybe last year. Like I said, the
Yes, they were
remaster.
only painting it as a good thing,
Yeah,
being like,
right.
look how many copies this game that people definitely don't like as much as the third one sold.
Yeah, a little bit of a smart thing to leave out. The remasters, like I said, for Fallout 3 and New Vegas are in active development. Fallout Shelter, of course, a mobile game, 250 million players, still getting more content,
Jesus.
getting an unscripted show at Amazon, which is hilarious. Hey, we need more cousin fun down in the vaults. Fallout Season 3 is in production. An Obsidian-led Fallout game is in the works. Ooh, ZeniMax Online, the Elder Scrolls Online devs, are also helping with the new Elder Scrolls stuff. Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 will also be made in the Creation Engine 3 that they've been working on since Starfield launch. And right now, at Bethesda, and I guess for the past very long time, Elder Scrolls 6 is the primary focus for the team right now. So, a lot of info. A lot of info to say exactly what you thought was happening is happening.
Yes. But it is crazy and should be telling to the current time that we're existing in right now that they announced Fallout 5 in a blog post. They had never publicly announced that this game was happening. Like, we all knew it was happening because Bethesda's been on a Fallout Elder Scrolls pipeline for a minute now. That has been like their main two breadwinners. You don't have to be a genius to see that those are the next things that are coming. It is not surprising that they would finish Elder Scrolls 6 and then immediately start Fallout 5, but it is wild for them to come out and announce it in a blog post. Because I think, just to cut to the chase here, it's very hard for this not to feel like a distraction. A PR, like, fire the jets, get everyone out there, get the planes in the air with the banners that say Fallout 5 on them. Get people out there talking about all the cool shit we got coming up. Get the people out there talking about how no. It doesn't matter that Xbox has imploded from the inside in one of the most historically large and significant layoffs in the industry's history, after just spending like billions of dollars to acquire Bethesda and Activision. Don't pay attention to all that. Look at all this stuff over here. It is. I'm not the first person to say this. It is jingly keys. It is like, come look at this, and it seems to have largely worked.
But they're shiny. They're shiny, and they make us excited. I would also like to point out, Ryan, I don't know if you have seen this, but Todd Howard, I guess main Bethesda guy. Is that fair to say? I don't know. What's his actual
Yes, I
position
think
title?
he's the creative
Creative director.
director.
Okay, so recently, I mean, within the past few months, he did it did a handful of interviews with people, but Mortismal Gaming, I believe, was the one that I watched. I'm pretty sure there he kind of came out and said in one way or another that, like, in a perfect world, Bethesda would like to do more stuff like what they did with the Morrowind remake, where it's not something where it's announced and there's this huge long run up, but they kind of want to have the stuff ready, and so the announcement and the release are in a tighter window. And he seemed to imply
Mm-hmm.
that Bethesda's goal is to not have these long run up things like they've had with Elder Scrolls. So to see that kind of very quickly maybe change in terms of their approach to that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it feels very
Mm-hmm.
much so like Xbox was kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? We need to let the people know what's coming. Your thoughts, your ideas about this are not the way we're gonna go.
Yeah. So he is the director and executive producer at Bethesda Studios. So he is the big creative force. He's the big cheese.
The
Big cheese there.
big cheese.
He's
I
directed
love some Resident Evil.
Starfield. He directed he's directing Elder Scrolls 6. He directs all their big games. Um he is the man himself. And yeah, I mean, like, he is very much somebody who believes in, like, let's announce a game and then release it shortly after. But obviously, like, they are not afraid to pull the ripcord when the time comes. They announced Elder Scrolls 6, how, like, I mean, I said 5 6 years ago, but it probably is actually that amount of time. And, like, if there is any evidence out there that, like, this is very much a pull the ripcord save face moment, and they're throwing Todd out there um to the sharks, which I don't use derogatorily because I'm speaking about journalists in this case. But having been in rooms where devs treat you like sharks, because they're like worried you're gonna pounce on them with like a gotcha quest or something, they are throwing them in that direction because Todd Howard, as part of this announcement, got on the phone with gonna mention him again, just like in every video, Jason Schreier, last week, which, if you are familiar with your gaming industry lore, is wild because Jason has been blacklisted from Bethesda, as well as, like, when he was Kotaku in general, when he was there, for like 15 years, from when Fallout 4 was coming out. He tells the whole story of why that happened, with the Fallout 4 stuff on his channel. It's been misinformation's been spread around about it. It's like pretty shitty. Blacklists are bad, and also he did not do anything wrong to be blacklisted. It was basically just petty. But they removed that blacklist and had Todd go on the record with him again for the first time in a very long time, specifically for this announcement. Um, and it seems like they had a great chat, and I'm sure what Jason got out of it was super interesting and worthwhile and worth doing. And, like, I would, like, never in a billion years turn down an interview from Todd Howard. He seems like an interesting guy, even though I am not, to be clear, somebody who really loves Bethesda-led RPGs. Obviously, people really are into them, and that's super cool, and I appreciate that. But,
You
like,
should
they
out
are,
yourself here. Are there any Bethesda
yes.
games? Skyrim, yes. That's the one that you kind
I
of fuck with.
So yeah, my Bethesda situation is that, like, I don't like the Fallout games. Which I understand is like a problem. I understand it's weird. I met and got married to my wife because I don't like the Fallout games, because she, on her dating profile, had mentioned that she loved them, and I broke the ice by being like, "Hey, I don't actually love this game. Tell me what I'm missing." Which is more interesting than "Hey," but still not great. Um, and we got into a whole conversation about that, and now we have 2 children and have been together for almost 9 years. So, sometimes that works out for you. I'm in some ways owe my life to Todd Howard, but I don't really like playing his games. Elder Scrolls, I think, is cool. I just think the combat in those games feels really clunky and is not super enjoyable for me. I don't like VATS, and I really, really disliked Starfield. partially because I was assigned to a massive guides project for it, even though I don't like those games. And I expressed to my editors repeatedly that I don't like those games. They were like, "We're gonna have you do the main campaign walkthrough," which is probably the least painful thing I could have done, honestly, on that project. So, you know, I don't really fuck with it, but I don't dislike the games. I think it's very cool that other people obviously like them a lot, and I like the Fallout show. So I'm not fully a Fallout hater. Honestly, I have never gotten all the way through New Vegas, and of the things announced here, I think Obsidian is a really talented studio, and I like what they do. So I'm interested in going back and checking out New Vegas, and I am very interested in a Obsidian-led Fallout game. I'm more interested in that than Fallout 5, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and also, New Vegas, one of my favorite games of all time. And I think the Obsidian, that there's going to be another Obsidian Fallout game, that's like the only true announcement here that wasn't at least highly speculated or very obvious, right? I mean, is there anything else here that's really like was unknown?
So that would have been the case if the reporting had not broken around the great layoff.
Around that time. Okay.
Yeah, so we knew about this was a confirmation that an Obsidian-led game was going to be working, because it was reported. I don't know if it was initially reported by Schreier. Schreier did a lot of their good reporting around that time, but it was initially reported that basically Obsidian was working on a sequel to Avowed, their first-person fantasy RPG that came out last year, which is super cool. I didn't get super far into it. Because I think I was doing some other work stuff at the time. It can be weird when you're working on games. You don't necessarily have a lot of time. You got to play a lot of different stuff, and so you don't necessarily have time to finish something big like that. But it's a really neat game that I enjoyed my time with, and is pretty cool. And they were working on an Avowed 2, and basically the cuts happened, and in Obsidian immediately got moved. Like Avowed 2 got canceled. Soft canceled, and then they got moved to a Fallout project. When I say soft canceled, the current thinking, or what people are hearing, is basically that as I've talked to in a couple different things before, when games get greenlit, they're not usually ready for a large team to immediately jump onto them. It takes time to build things up until you can build people, like bring people in. Otherwise, things get really chaotic. So what Obsidian is doing is starting on the early phases of a Fallout game, and while they are waiting for the game to be built up and ready for developers, a small team that will get smaller and smaller over time, I imagine, is continually work on Avowed 2 in hopes that once this Fallout game comes out, they can be like, hey, Xbox, this game's quite a bit further along than maybe you think it is. You should check it out. And let us publish it. Let us take it the rest of the way, which is a cool strategy. So they're doing that right now, and it was revealed that was like going to be the fate of Obsidian, which also is not super hard to see when Xbox comes out and they're like, we're going to double down on these big franchises. I had people at work at my website, rogue.site, or on my Discord being like worried about Obsidian. And I was like, I'm not really worried about Obsidian because Obsidian has experience working on Fallout. So what's going to happen is they're going to be stripped of their ability to do any kind of interesting and unique thing going forward, and they're just going to become a Bethesda support studio that makes Fallout games. And I would not be totally surprised if once Bethesda starts working on Fallout 5, if we see Obsidian make a Elder Scrolls game. I think if you told me that they're going to alternate back and forth now, that would be like one of the least surprising things.
You're thinking maybe a Call of Duty kind of situation.
Yeah, basically, like they're like the Raven Studios of the original like Infinity Ward. They're the Bethesda division. So it's not even like they're the Treyarch or anything. Like I think it is I think it is like they are the second othered studio, and Todd even said like it is not a like it's a close development with Bethesda, which is could just be a thing that he's saying, but it made it clear that like they're still lead like Bethesda's still the lead of all Fallout stuff. Obsidian is just making this game, so yeah, that would be some of the big news here, but that, as a lot of things do when mass layoffs happen, broke through the extremely leaky ship that a 1,600 person hole
To be fair,
creates.
that's something
So,
that broke in the past month, whereas everything else here is like, right, I mean, we've been talking about
very
for
obvious. Yeah.
years. Maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. True.
Even the remasters
True. It's
for
relatively new.
Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I remember they were talking about that when the Morrowind, right, remaster had come out last year, that the Fallout 3 and New Vegas ones were
The Oblivion one?
leaking.
The Oblivion remaster?
Oblivion. Yes, not Morrowind.
Yeah.
So
Morrowind, I
definitely
do believe, was Todd's first game that he directed at Bethesda, though. So you're barking up some kind of tree.
Do you think? Well,
What, so,
you're saying that Obsidian isn't going to have kind of potentially, maybe they might get relegated to the Elder Scrolls and Fallout, but outside of Avowed, hasn't Obsidian stuff done pretty well? Like Pentiment, right? That was I remember that was like very
Pentiment
highly
was Obsidian, and that was very
critically
highly regarded. I mean, Outer Worlds
acclaimed.
is also
Yeah, Outer Worlds I thought did pretty
out of the
well.
two Outer Worlds games. I mean, I don't think Avowed. It's hard to say that something like Avowed did badly though, because it's in the era of Xbox Game Pass, where it's like we don't know how well that game would have sold, because a lot of people have Game Pass and they're just gonna go, oh, I'll just play it on Game Pass, and so it's like it's very difficult to tell the actual like successes of some of these games, because like you can, when it is completely free with a subscription,
Yeah.
that changes a lot of like, for a successful game you have to ask the question, would people have played this if it wasn't free? And for a non-successful game, you have to just, or like for a mildly successful Game Pass launch, you have to be like, well, is there a reality where more people like played this or finished it or whatever if they had purchased it on a different console? Who knows? Like it's a whole weird thing to try and wrap your noggin around, and so it's very difficult to look at something like that and say whether it was successful or not. I think something like an Avowed 2 could hit different if they stop doing day one Game Pass stuff. Sorry, please.
No. I just wonder. I wonder if Xbox. I wonder how they're like taking that into account. Like, when they're having a meeting with Obsidian, are they approaching it with that same kind of idea, or do they just have the back end information and they're going to judge it off that? I feel like Avowed is in a weird spot where I don't know that like the audience of people who would primarily engage with Game Pass would have necessarily connected with the game. I too also played a bit of it. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I didn't think it was bad. And also I feel like that universe, it takes place in the Pillars of Eternity universe, seemingly is kind of more philosophical maybe with some of its story points, and it's this larger RPG. Like, I wonder if that kind of audience for Game Pass is there, especially when probably a lot of people recently or over the past few years came into Game Pass for Call of Duty and EA Sports games, or things like this that are more kind of mainstream.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just like, it's just difficult. I mean, there is also some reporting over the last couple like week or so, basically talking about how there are a good suite of executives in Microsoft that absolutely hate Game Pass, and think it has devalued games and made it harder to sell games, and it's not totally hard to see their point. I don't, obviously, from as like a consumer standpoint, it's great. It's an awesome value. But from a business standpoint, it does put things in a really weird place, and I could very much see why. Like, I think it has kind of, it feels like the Game Pass was designed as something to like bring people into an ecosystem and then kind of choke them out slowly and turn the tables once it reached the maximum number of people it was going to. And once it became so valuable, then they turn the table, start choking you out on it, and start milking your subscription service for as much as it's worth. Like, it's like Amazon Prime at this point, where it's the type of thing where Amazon Prime is like so ubiquitous at this point that like people aren't going to cancel it. They can kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say they can charge whatever they want for it, but like so many people use it for so many different reasons, and like streaming and also their shopping and everything like that. I think that's what Game Pass's goal was. I just don't think it ever got there. And I think they would have probably made it a lot less user friendly if it would have gotten there. But from where it is now, like it does just kind of make it easy to play a bunch of stuff. I think Schreier was also speculating on this when he broke that news as well, that it's very possible we might see day one Game Pass launches go. And I mean, like, we're kind of already seeing that to an extent with something like, as we speak, Campaign Evolved is Halo Campaign Evolved is like 24 hours almost from coming out, but it's coming out in early access. So it's only going to be playable for until next week by people who pay a premium price to buy the game, and then it'll come out on Game Pass, which is not day one on Game Pass. It's like week 2 on Game Pass. You know what I mean? So they're already, I mean, they've been doing that for a minute, but they really are already starting to change some of that stuff up.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any future with the success of Baldur's Gate and having Obsidian with like a lot of experience. I wonder if there's any future where their Fallout games are CRPGs, or, maybe something a little bit different. Like, I know obviously New Vegas was kind of like a side project in a sense. It wasn't a numbered Fallout game. I wonder if they're kind of given a little bit of freedom to do something a little different in the Fallout kind of universe, aside from, another third first person RPG in the style of something like an Outer Worlds. Maybe that seems unlikely given, like you were saying, with Outer Worlds and Avowed kind of recently, and I guess Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 and the style of those is what's popular. But I wonder if they're maybe able to do something like that.
So I think a CRPG Fallout game is possible, but I don't think it would come from Bethesda or from Obsidian is the thing, because like from Xbox's perspective, why would you take this company that has experience making the version of this game that is extremely popular and be like, go forward and make an old school version of this? People will love it. Because people might love it, but to them, it's like you can, for their mind, you can give the Fallout Bible to anybody and be like, go make a Fallout game. The thing that is valuable is they have made a Fallout game in that style before and can replicate, have proven and have continued in the future to replicate Bethesda Studios style. So I think with Obsidian, they're just going to have them roll on being Bethesda 2 for forever. Now, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that they find somebody who's made another successful CRPG, like Rogue Trader or something, or like Larian's busy with their own stuff, and Larian at this point can do whatever they want after Baldur's Gate 3. So they're not making a Fallout game unless they really want to. But I would not be surprised if Xbox or other CRPG teams are pitching a Fallout game and they say yes to it. I just think I would just be surprised if that would go to Obsidian, because I think there would be executives who would feel like that was a waste of marketing potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it is going to be a traditional thing, but also Pillars, Pentiment, Tim Kaine, I think, is at Obsidian in some capacity working on games right now from the original Fallout games. Also, the director of Fallout New Vegas, is his name Jason something maybe? I think he's at Obsidian still, right? So I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be in the style of what Fallout has been successful for over the past 20 years. I don't know. I guess we're fucking 10, 12 years. How long ago was Fallout 4 at this point? So who knows, I guess, what a modern
like 20
successful Fallout game looks
2013 or 2014, something like that. Long time ago.
Yeah.
It's more of like maybe I'm totally wrong and they would allow them to like incubate something in there and grow it. But to me, I think the Xbox people are just gonna be like, no, just make them. They're going to spend the rest of that studio's going to spend the rest of its life until things in the industry calm down, making games in the style of Bethesda. So I mean that's that's kind of what we're seeing with ZeniMax. ZeniMax Online, the people who make Elder Scrolls Online, their studio got rocked really hard by the layoffs, to the point where some people were like, how are they going to continue making ESO? And then this announcement also comes out and is crazy, where now they're, in addition to getting completely like decimated by these layoffs, the Bethesda's also like, oh yeah, and while ESO will continue, they're also going to be helping us as a support studio for Elder Scrolls 6. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. If I was an ESO fan right now, I would be super concerned about my game. And as somebody who recently watched their long-time RPG MMO explode due to mass layoffs and end of service stuff, my heart goes out to those folks and the anxiety they probably feel right now.
Well, I think they're getting their first season
bleak
as well, which is kind of a weird timing, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, their first Thieves Guild season is because they haven't done seasonal content before or something like that. So,
yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's all like if people who love Bethesda, this is all very exciting. You're a Bethesda enjoyer, are you not? I should return the favor. What are your Bethesda games of choice here to end the segment?
Ooh. New Vegas. New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time. I was gonna say one of the best games of all time.
People love that game.
There is a clunkiness to the games. I haven't played like the original ones, so I'm not like super tapped into that stuff, but I think I was at the perfect age when the Fallout 3 kind of hype started and they did that launch trailer. I don't want to set the world, like that shit. That was amazing. And you're walking through the trenches. I'm from Northern Virginia, so I've grown up in this area, and so I'm very familiar with all things. Been to DC a ton, so that was also like an element of it. But I really enjoyed Fallout 3, and I think I was young enough that some of the maybe decisions and where the story goes and the kind of choices you have, I didn't really care about those. And then when Fallout New Vegas came out, that was something that I think over time I've come back to and played more and more and really enjoyed. Some of the best companions. Fallout 4, I even had a good time with. I played it a lot less, but I think it was solid. I think in the going back, especially with Far Harbor DLC, there's so many good Fallout DLCs I think add so much to the game. Even the ones that maybe aren't that good, like Mothership Zeta or The Pit, I think are the ones I remember most from Fallout 3, which I don't even know if there's anything super great about them. The concept of going to a new location and seeing how they gave us this new visual format in that same muddy 2010, 2008, the kind of color style that everybody had at that time. But yeah, I think New Vegas and 3, I'm a huge fan of. Skyrim, obviously, I've played a ton. I don't know that I'm like a huge Elder Scrolls enjoyer, but Skyrim was great, and Fallout 4. I have not touched 76. Maybe I need to check it out. I played around launch to like give it a try and I was whelmed. Even despite all of the bugs, I don't think I like the core of what was going on there, but I've heard that's even gotten a lot of updates and has a cool experience. So I'm definitely, I'm a Bethesda enjoyer. Oh, Starfield though. Starfield was bad. Starfield was really
okay. I couldn't finish what year.
I could not finish Starfield. I just felt like the choices.
Oh, I finished Starfield,
limited.
But I had to.
Yeah, I was. I
was being paid.
I was not being paid
to finish Starfield, and it still was painful.
Yeah, and I know another example, kind of what we were talking about earlier. I had Game Pass though, so why not give it a try? I guess, but yeah,
right, yeah. So what does this? So to as somebody who is basically looking at this purely from the business side of things. Because I don't have a lot of stakes in any of the games that are being talked about here. Like, what does this do for you? Like, is this not in an insulting way at all? Genuinely curious. Like, does it, as a jingly key move, does this work?
As a little idiot baby who likes
as an
Fallout.
idiot baby, is this an effective strategy? But like from an emotional standpoint, for someone who has an emotional connection to anything in these universes outside of the because for me it's literally just the show that I care about.
Yeah, the shows. I love the show as well. Yeah.
I'll any Walton Goggins vehicle, I'm there. Righteous Gemstones, check it out. But I that's like my main connection point, other than bagging my wife because of it, I guess. But that's kind of my
Thanks,
whole
Todd.
entire like connection with these. So like, how much does this do for you on like just an emotional level?
The Obsidian Fallout thing is pretty big. That's pretty exciting. I think that gives an RPG in the future that I am very much so looking forward to. I think that, like I said, I still feel like New Vegas holds up. Even if you don't connect with the gameplay of it or the VAT system, just the factions, the way everything plays into each other, and the characters are very, very good. In the setting of like being this satire on mid 20th century America, while also like having this weird, dark future format, is something that I think is exciting to jump back into. But with everything else, like here, like I said, it's kind of stuff that I had just vaguely heard about in passing over the past years. I mean, maybe I'll try Fallout 76 at some point, but I'm not interested in getting into like a live service Fallout game like that. I don't care about anything Starfield, and there's nothing they can ever do that will make me care about Starfield, I don't think, at this point. The remasters are cool, but the originals hold up for me. Maybe by the time the remasters come out, I can kind of like, my kids will be at an age where they're going to be, I could show that to them perhaps. Fallout Shelter doesn't really matter to me. The Fallout show is cool. I still haven't finished season 2, but I do like that. I don't know. So to me, it's like, wow, the Obsidian thing's a big deal. Fallout 5, I'm not even going to think about, because if they're saying long range destination, that makes it seem this is just something they had to include in this for, like you're saying, you have to go out there and get people hyped, right? So, yeah.
This show will be on its like 2500 episode before Fallout 3 even gets a trailer. Like
Fallout 5,
yeah, whatever. Yeah, Fallout 5
and Elder Scrolls
3, that one
maybe that'd be cool. I do think Elder Scrolls 6 will be a big tell. If Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and there's not some huge leaps and bounds between Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield and Fallout 4 kind of gameplay, and even just like how you communicate with people, if there's not like some, especially with things like Baldur's Gate and these other RPGs that are very big and very expansive, they have so many branching paths.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if it still feels like just a little bit of a step forward from what we were getting in Fallout 3 or New Vegas, that's a scenario where it's like the writing would really have to carry it. And if Starfield is something to go by, that's probably not going to be something that I personally connect with.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's interesting them coming out and talking about the Creative Engine 3 in here, because that feels like almost a moment where they can be like, oh no, this is going to be people haven't really connected with the past 2 big games that we put out the same way that they connected with the older ones. And maybe that's because of an aging demographic, maybe that's just because standards have been raised. I think that's a big part of it. I think other people have come out and done things that Bethesda seemed like the only team capable of doing, and have done it in some ways better in that time frame. But I think it's going to be a big... Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be the big barometer. It's going to be the big tell of like, is this studio, washed to a degree? Like, are they still capable of making something that is as long lasting as Skyrim and Fallout 3 were?
No.
And I think that's going to be a really interesting question. To end here on the first part of this week, as part of all this layoffs, and I think this is like deeply connected because of how id is part of Bethesda now. uh, Hugo Martin of id basically came out and had to. There's a bunch of reporting about how hard id got hit by the layoffs. And Hugo Martin basically came out and was like, "No, we have the same amount of everyone's saying we got nerfed into the ground. That's not true. We got the same amount of teammates as we did when we made Doom 2016." I love Doom 2016, so like that's cool, but it just kind of gets to this whole thing that we're talking about here that I just think is kind of gross. Because I saw a lot of people like with this news and with that the Doom revelation that like, oh no, the team, there's still enough people here we're gonna make a new Doom game. Don't worry about it. People who are like, oh thank God, yay, another Doom game, yay, everything is still good. Oh, I'm still gonna get my treats. And I say that as somebody who like I really am so glad that we can get another Doom game. I'm glad that there are enough people there to do that. But it feels very like the jingly keys. It's hard. It makes it much harder to not feel like that's what's happening here, and also just kind of brings it to this place of like, I think if we care about the industry because you want these games that you like, you have to care about the people that work in it, or games are just going to get worse and the brain drain is going to continue to just fall out of the industry. It's something I talk a lot about in my Destiny 3 video that went out earlier this week from the recording. But it's just like people are just basically completely getting removed from the industry, and like it makes me sad that the reaction to this kind of thing is like a joy that all these things are going to continue, that you're going to continue these worlds, but like they're going to be made by different people. They're going to be made by like the people who made all those things that you cared about are like spamming LinkedIn right now trying to find something so that they can feed their families. And as somebody who has been through that kind of process myself and find myself in a position where after Polygon, my job just doesn't exist anymore. The job that I did for a decade just doesn't exist. It's horrible, and so it is hard to. Obviously, people like it should not be our business to have to care entirely about the people. We should be able to look at something and be like, oh man, it is cool that we're getting this art thing. But when we live in a world where the people that employ these people so clearly don't give a shit about them at all, and are doing things as genuinely like cruel is the only word to use for it that Xbox is doing, of saying, hey, also we're going to lay off 1,600 more people by the end of the year, so everyone there just has this guillotine axe above their head all the time, through the next 6 months, through the holidays. It feels like it has become our duty to care, because Microsoft doesn't, Sony doesn't, all these other places, they don't care about the people making these games. And if we want the games to be as good as an iconic as they are that made us fall in love with them in the first place, like, we need to support the developers trying to make any kind of movement to protect themselves, because otherwise, like, not only is that the humanitarian thing to do, but it is the only way that we're going to protect some of this institutional knowledge that gave us some of these games that people really love. And like, it's seeing such this kind of like callous move where Xbox is making studio heads come out and go, no, don't worry, we can still make the games that you want. And then seeing so many gamers out there being like, hooray, is something that as somebody who tries to be calm and educational about the industry and what little I understand about it, kind of lights a fire under me to continue to try and talk about the more human side of this industry, because like God knows the people who run these fucking studios aren't going to do that. So I don't know. Sorry, that was my soapbox for the episode, but it's it's sad and it's frustrating that they're putting these people into this position, and that we, the consumers, are in a position to have to be like, well, I guess we have to give a shit. Response.
Oh, Xbox. Never change, Xbox.
Yeah.
Never change. Yeah.
It's not even just them though. It's not like, I don't want this to be like the Xbox keeps fucking up hour, although Xbox, I think, is I mean, Sony keeps stepping in it in their own way. But I think Sony's issues as anti-consumer as they have been are not as anti-humanitarian. But that's a whole other thing that I think is interesting, is how much angrier people seem at Sony right now for their anti-consumer stuff than the fact that Xbox has mismanaged so many studios so badly that 3,200 people are going to be out of work, and the number is actually quite a bit larger than that when you factor in support studios and things. Another thing Jason has a good video on his channel, but I don't know if you have any follow-up to the destruction of this, or my humanitarian crisis on it, to pull me back or not. I don't know what you're feeling.
No, I think we put you in charge. You'll sort it out.
Yes, please. That's what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? That's what I make me. Yeah. We started this so that I could become the new Phil Spencer.
Yeah. Step 1, this. Step 2, we don't know. Step 3, Ryan is Phil Spencer.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll get when we get Phil on the show later this week. We're gonna Highlander it out. Don't worry about it. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned
For that one. Yeah. Do people even know Highlander as a reference point? Not until the new Henry Cavill movie comes out, probably.
Oh yeah, Henry Cavill.
Is that happening? That's happening, right? Is that happening?
I heard something.
I think
about
that's
that.
happening.
Yeah, that'll be good.
No Clancy Brown, not interested.
It can only be one.
Only one Clancy Brown, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Wonder Twins.
All right, indeed. Yep.
Business hour.
That is going to do it for the not quite business. Yes, the doing this slightly shorter makes the name of the show even sillier, which I have no intention of changing it. So, that's staying as it is. But this has been the July 22nd, I believe, assuming things go well, episode of the Wonder Twins Business Hour. We will be back later this week to talk about some more and different news that probably hasn't happened yet at the time of this recording. So whatever it is, we'll be there to talk to you about it later this week. So thanks for listening. Thank you to everybody for the huge response to my Destiny 3 video. It's doing extremely well, like better than I possibly imagined, better than Jake imagined, and he's been very encouraging on this entire process. So
it's doing great,
almost delusionally so. But now I am forced to admit that maybe he knows what he's doing, and that I don't know anything, and should check my pessimism when in the face of this. But I genuinely appreciate the support a ton. You should check that video out if you haven't. I'm very proud of it, and Jake. Largely because Jake edited it, is why I'm so proud of it. So, check that out. Jake, do your plugs for Jake the Alright, a very good channel.
Jake the Alright. It's on YouTube. That should be my catch line. It's on YouTube.
Because it is on YouTube, so it's true. There's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah. Also subscribe.
That's great.
I'll be here as well. Ryan Gillian, the channel.
He'll be here. Yep, that's me. I'm a channel. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you later this week. Statistically, I hope everyone out there is enjoying Fallout Shelter, because clearly you all are. So have a great time with that, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.
Bye.